Hey students, Mrs. Doulton here. Welcome back to Buddy. Now we're going to start we will read chapter 30 today, and it is a very exciting chapter. So stay with me until the very end, okay? Let's just review chapter 29. The setting took place in the house in New Orleans, and the new character introduced was Mr. Nelson. Mama was not interested in returning to New Orleans. Daddy and little T find a boy with drug paraphernalia, kind of like a squatter person who just finds an abandoned house, so to speak, and lives there. And on Easter Sunday, the church is filled with new people, Black people, white people, rich people, poor people, right? Everyone gathered there because the church was not damaged by Katrina, and the church members caught up with each other and shared experiences, their losses from Hurricane Katrina. And little T was doing well, and he was very happy until someone mentioned something about his three-legged dog. And then he said, all of a sudden, I feel like it ain't spring anymore. Let's go to chapter 30. Before we know it, school is over. Mrs. Watson's giving me a hug and saying she's so proud of me and I've got a lot of potential and all kinds of stuff, like teachers always say. I'm just thinking, what am I going to do this summer? Sitting in that apartment all day, every day. The whole family goes to a party where the kindergartners graduate to first grade. All Tanya's friends are wearing big bows in their hair and holding hands. The teacher gives Tanya a piece of paper with a giant smiley face on it, saying she's an honor student. In kindergarten, Daddy and Mama want to be happy, but they can't because Daddy's job clearing out all those broke trees is over. What they can do, they've done. When we get home that night, Daddy and Mama sit together at the table in that little apartment. They got the newspaper spread out in front of them, and every once in a while they make a circle around a notice for a job. Daddy's shaking his head. Mama's wrapping her hands together. What are we going to do now? She says. Daddy folds up the newspaper. He sits back. He crosses his arms over his chest. He looks Mama in the face. We're going to go home, he says. And so we do. Okay, so let's pause here for a second. In the year 2005 and around that time, especially if you don't have strong internet access and you've just experienced a storm, people will get their information through newspapers, and Daddy's looking for a job. So they open up the section of the newspaper called the classified section, and that's where you can find listings for jobs. And it doesn't look like they're experiencing too much success, and Mama's getting a little frustrated, and Daddy says, we're going to go home. You know what that means? We're going back to New Orleans, okay? Just wanted to clarify that for you. We can't move into the house to start. It ain't close to ready. No rain can get in because we fixed the roof where the pecan tree came through. A bunch of men from the church helped us get the front porch straightened out, and we got it mostly mucked out, but it ain't got hardly no inside walls, and the outside walls are just the weatherboard nailed on the studs. Mama won't even come look at it, much less live in it, especially when she hears about the squatters. Brother James fixes up a place for her with a widow 2 streets over. That widow's old, and she needs somebody to look after her. Mama can do that while she's chasing baby Terrell. Mama says maybe the widow will let her use the kitchen to make a few pralines again. And if she's going to be cooking for the widow, Maybe she can cook up a few lunches to sell to the people working on the houses. Well, look at that. So a widow is a woman who's lost her husband. Her husband's passed away, and this widow needs assistance. So Brother James from the church says, look, I know you can't live in your house yet. It's not fixed up, but you can live with the widow. And mom is already thinking of a plan on how she could bring additional income, right, into the family. She could bake her pralines and make lunches and sell them. The problem is that the widow's only got one extra bedroom. Daddy's got to sleep in the old house or on the street. I say, I'll sleep with him in the house. Mama says, over her dead body. She says, it ain't safe. Daddy says, it's us being there that's going to make it safe. And besides, we like camping out. He's teeing about that, but Mama ain't laughing at all. After a while, though, she nods her head. Okay, she says, I guess you're going to do what you're going to do. So Mama and Tanya and baby Terrell move into the old lady's extra room, and Daddy and Rover and me move into the old house full time. Rover thinks he's in heaven getting to chase rats every day. The good thing is he don't line them up on the porch anymore. And I've just about taught him not to jump all over me, especially when he's got one hanging in his mouth. Yuck. Daddy ain't got no regular job, but he's picking up day work, gutting houses and clearing lots. He works on the old house whenever he can scrape up enough money to buy some boards or nails or whatever else he needs. He gives me projects every day when he's gone. I'm getting good at ripping stuff out. Next, he's going to teach me how to hang sheetrock. Summer is almost halfway over, and truth be told, that house don't look much different. Daddy's starting to sit with his head in his hands again. He's starting to get those lines in his face. Then one afternoon, I look up from where I'm nailing down a loose board on the front porch, and here comes Mama with Tanya and baby Terrell. They ain't never been by before. Not the whole time since we've been back. Tanya's wearing her crown and holding baby Terrell by the hand. Mama's pulling an old rusty wagon. Inside that wagon are two great big cooking pots and a cardboard box full of paper bowls, napkins, and plastic forks, with a great big old loaf of white bread laid over the top. Stuck on the side of the box with tape is a sign that says, Mama's Home Cooking. I can tell Tanya colored it because the S is backward. There's 2 servings still left, Mama says, and I won't charge you. She puts down the handle of the wagon and picks up baby Terrell. Tanya grabs hold of her skirt. Then Mama just stands in the yard and looks. I see her eyes going up to the big X above the front porch roof. She looks at me, and she looks at that X, and I know what she's thinking. Tanya's lifting up her thumb toward her mouth. Don't stick that in your mouth, I say. Tanya jumps and stares at me. You ain't my daddy, she says. I lift up my hand like I'm going to wallop her, and Mama says, Little T, I thought you were older than that. I let my hand down. I feel ashamed, and I feel sad. Then I look up at the house with them. I ain't noticed before how the yard is all full of weeds, and they're almost tall as me. I ain't seen the way the grass is growing up through cracks in the sidewalk and practically covering it up. I ain't noticed the way the paint is peeling off in great big old chunks the size of my hand all the way up the side of the house to where that watermark. Remember I showed you watermarks in the Google slideshow? So here we go. He notices the watermark on the house is still a dirty black line. It's been a long time since I noticed that the bushes up by the porch are just dried up brown sticks, or that the stump of the pecan tree is all covered over with cat's claw vine and morning glory. Then along comes Rover, galloping like a racehorse around the corner of the house. He skids to a stop in front of us with his tongue flopping out and his tail going a mile a minute. He ain't seen Mama and them since we started camping in the old house. He bounces around on his feet and barks. Mama almost smiles. That dog's grown, she says. Baby Terrell's trying to jump out of her arms. She's holding on to him the best she can. You can't get down, she says. It's too dangerous. No, he shouts. And we all stop in our tracks and look at him. Did he say no? I say. Mama's looking at him like she's proud. Did you say no? She says. Did you say that, Baby Terrell? And he's flopping himself hard. No, he yells again. No, no, no. Then we're all laughing and Mama finally puts him on the ground. I guess if you can talk, I better let you walk. Little T, don't let him out of your sight. I'm going to have a look at this old house. I guess I have to. Mama goes inside and Daddy's hammer stops. She stays inside a long, long time. I eat a bowl of red beans and rice and 3 pieces of bread. I throw a stick for Rover. He runs to pick it up and brings it back. Baby Terrell claps his hands. We do it all again. Tanya's sitting on the steps. She's sitting on her hands so her thumb won't accidentally slide into her mouth. Rover goes running up to her and jumps on her, and her crown almost falls off. Bad dog, she says. Go away, she says, but she's laughing. Say down, I tell her. He don't understand go away. She's too busy straightening up her crown to pay any attention. Ba 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 ba, Baby Terrell says. Then I look up and there's Mama standing in the front door. She's standing there looking at us sitting on the steps. She looks at Tanya and she looks at me. And she looks at Baby Terrell. And we're looking back at her. What are you staring at? She says all of a sudden. Your face is all wet, Tanya says. Mama reaches up and rubs her hand across her cheeks. Now it's dirty, Tanya says. Mama closes her eyes and takes a deep breath, a big breath. And you think that's funny, I guess. And Tanya shakes her head real slow. It's okay, Mama, I say. It's going to be all right. You aren't old enough to tell me that, she snaps back at me. Besides, I've got something to tell you. Me and Tanya are going to take that wagon and walk to the store. I've got enough cash in my pocket right here to buy us a couple of jugs of bleach and some scrub brushes. You're going to watch Baby Terrell. When we get back, we're going to set up Tanya and Baby Terrell in the front room where he can't get loose. And then you and me are going to start washing the wood. I figure if I don't start helping out, this house isn't ever going to be done. Come on, Tanya. You're going to carry the brushes. Okay, so Mama gets on board. Mama looks at the house. She sees not too much progress has been done, and they need her. Okay? They need her. And she knows they need her. She knows they need her. Mama don't like working with that bleach. Daddy teases her and says she's going to turn white. She says if she does, it will only be in spots, and that will make her a leopard. And he better watch out if he gets too close. Daddy laughs out loud, and Mama smiles a little, and I just keep on scrubbing. Daddy's got an electrician lined up to come fix the wires as soon as it's all washed. A man from the church is going to help with the pipes. Then we can start hanging the sheetrock. Things are finally moving along. One day, I'm taking a break from scrubbing and sitting outside watching baby Terrell with Tanya. When I look up, and there's Brother James standing just inside the gate. Your mama and daddy inside? He says. Yes, sir. Go get them. I've got something to tell you all. I'll watch the baby. I go inside. The house is dark and quiet. Little spots of dust are floating in the air where the sun's coming through the cracks. Then I hear their voices. They're upstairs. I climb up the creaky stairs. When I get in there, they ain't scrubbing. They're standing in their bedroom, except it ain't got any walls. And they're hugging. Brother James is here, I say. He says to go get you. Brother James? Daddy says. Mama rubs her hand across her face. How do I look? She says. Strong, Daddy says. We walk out on the porch and Brother James is bouncing baby Terrell up and down on his knee like Grandpa T used to do. Baby Terrell's laughing and squealing and Tanya is squinched over to one side, smiling and sitting on her hands. Everybody says their hellos and finds a shady place to sit. You all get to watch much TV? Brother James says. Daddy laughs a little. Ain't got no electricity, Brother James. Can't watch much TV that way. True, Brother James nods. Then you all probably didn't see that show last night? We're all shaking our heads. It was about Katrina. We all make faces. It was about the rescuers, the ones who saved the dogs. I sit up. There must have been 100 different groups that came in and saved those animals. They were telling about how they found cats and birds and dogs, especially dogs, all left behind. They said at first they thought the people had just abandoned their pets. They thought the people just didn't love them. But our car was too little, I say. We thought we'd be right back. They figured it out, Brother James says and nods. They're smart people. They figured it out. We're all sitting there real quiet, just looking at the dead yard. Rover is poking his nose in the stick bushes and piles of trash. His tail is going back and forth like it's attached to an engine. He bends down on his front legs and whines a little. He sees a rat, Brother James says. He finds a lot of them, Daddy says. We all nod. I'm watching Rover, but now I'm thinking about Buddy. Buddy didn't bother about rats, and he didn't jump on people. He didn't tear around the yard like he was crazy. He barked the squirrels away, and then he laid in the cool of the tree until I came to talk to him. That's what Buddy did. He laid still, and he listened to me. See, Rover and Buddy are different types of dogs. I guess, Brother James goes on, since you all didn't see the show, you didn't see about that shelter out in California somewhere. We shake our heads and keep on watching Rover. I wish he would either catch that rat or leave it alone. It's a fine shelter, Brother James says. Looks like a fancy resort. A fancy resort hotel for dogs. Rover jumps and yelps. Yep! Just catch it, I yell at him. They showed some of the dogs living there, some of the ones from Katrina. I turn to look at him. He looks at me. One of those dogs was a black dog with 3 legs. Buddy, I shout and jump up. You saw Buddy on TV? Brother James grins real big. I wanted you to know he's okay, little T. He made it out. He's safe. He's a California dog now, but he's safe. Daddy, I say, let's go get him. Wow. So Brother James has access to television and electricity, and he's viewing a show about the Katrina pet rescue, and he notices that Buddy was rescued and is residing in a shelter all the way out in California. So the family moves back to New Orleans because Daddy needs work. Mama, Tanya, and baby Terrell live with a widow. Daddy, Little T, and Rover stay in the house. Mama visits the house for the first time and then begins to assist to help with the cleanup. The house finally makes some progress. They needed Mama, right? And then finally, Brother James announces that he saw Buddy on TV. Buddy was rescued and is living in California. Here's my favorite quote for this chapter. Daddy, I say, let's go get him. Here's your stop and jot. What are some obstacles? What are some challenges little T may face in trying to locate, to find, and then retrieve Buddy? Because he says, Daddy, I say, let's go get him. Well, what are some of the challenges? All they know is that he's in a shelter in California. Little T wants to go get the dog. But right now, they're in New Orleans. Daddy barely has a job, and they're trying to fix up the house. So there's going to be a lot of challenges and obstacles. I want you to list as many as you can. They have to locate. They have to get there if they can. What if Buddy belongs to someone? They have to retrieve, bring him back. I want you to list some challenges. It is exciting. It's an exciting chapter, but now I want you to think hard for your stop and jot. Okay, and I will see you for chapter 31. Bye.